3, 2, 1. And welcome back. Episode 3 of Talk Ball Tweakers.
Let's go.
I'm Toussaint Fancher. We got Blake McQuarrie. We got Jake Mazarski. Episode 3. Welcome back. If you're not sub, like, you're going to get some good videos. How we feeling
now.
today?
Sub now.
Right now.
Like, exit out the video and sub right now.
Don't X out of the video, but go TikTok, YouTube, all that.
Facts.
How we doing today?
Oh, yeah.
You want to start us off? I'll start us off. I'm doing great. I am. Made a few enemies over the past week. Not gonna lie.
Did you?
And that's as far as I'm gonna go.
Okay.
And that's fine in the sports world because everybody has some enemies.
That's
fine.
facts.
That's fine. Flyers fans, Celtics fans, all
That's
these guys.
facts.
I got some enemies.
Word to Drake.
And like the bowler said, like it or not, you're watching,
Word to Drake. Word to Champagne Poppy.
right? And Blake,
That's a fire song.
how we doing?
I'm good. I'm actually really great. I'm really great. I'm excited to record episode 3. We got a TikTok account up, so go and find that, follow that. It's just talkball.tweakers on TikTok. Check out our YouTube shorts as well. I don't really know how to do it from like a viewer standpoint because I am on the
Nah, it's fine.
I'm like
It
the
works.
creator of the channel, so
Yeah.
like I can click the short. I think there's like a shorts thing though on the YouTube. You
No,
can just
there
go
is.
click
You go
it
to
and-
shorts and you type up
Yeah.
Talkball Tweakers, or
Or
you
you can do
type
that.
our name and you go click the
you
username,
can-
and all the shorts are
I
gonna
think
be
you
right
can,
there.
yeah, find it from the channel.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check those out as well. I mean, they're the same as the TikTok, but go, mess with both. But yeah, I'm feeling great today. I'm ready to talk ball, man.
Pod, you're lucky that we're recording this on a on a Thursday and not Sunday, because these two on Sunday that we'll get to.
We're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah, Sunday was a day for them.
We're not gonna talk
But
about
we'll
that.
talk. Oh yeah, I'll give the reins back to my
Not
man
yet.
Toussaint, and he can lead us here.
Not yet.
All right, so first we're going to talk about the Natty, Ohio State versus Notre Dame.
Let's go.
34-23. Ohio State takes the victory. First team in the new playoff, the 12-team playoff, to win it. Ryan Day scares away the haters just a little bit to win the national championship. How we feeling about this? Let's talk about it.
I tell you what, fake champs. How about that?
Paid for that championship,
fake
huh?
champs.
Paid for it.
Paid for it. Disney
20 mil.
Disney World ring, Mickey Mouse ring. They ain't beat the defending champs for that ring. That's all I gotta say.
It's true.
I don't know how y'all feel, but they ain't beat the defending champs for that ring. So I don't know.
I just got to say that
No
game
conference championship.
That game was not interesting until like the fourth quarter, when all of a sudden Notre Dame decided that they want to actually play football, and Great House decided to bring two to the crib, and they finally showed some fight. But that was like Ohio State had it from the jump.
I will give them some.
Ohio State. Oh wait,
credit.
go.
I'll give them real quick. I'll give them some credit though. From the beginning of the year, everyone talked about their roster and how good of a team that was, and obviously how much money they spent on it. But besides the fact, that was a great roster that they assembled, and obviously, they won the Natty. Like, best team won, they won. So I will give them credit right there for sure.
I think I'm the biggest college football junkie in this room. Just to add a few things here. There were 3 rosters in college football valued over $20 million. Ohio State was 3rd. Texas was 1. Oregon was 2.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State beat both those teams.
Yep.
They kicked the crap out of both those teams.
Yeah.
I think the money is a fair argument and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Michigan, if Michigan wins the title in the next 3 years with Bryce Underwood, they paid him $10 million.
Yeah.
That's not crapping on Michigan, but I could go on a Michigan hate rant if you really want. But
Nah.
let me get back to it. I was saying to
Not allowed on this pod.
Not with me here.
Yeah. If it wasn't going to be this year for Ohio State, when was it going to be? I mean, they returned all their seniors from Trevion Henderson, Emeka Egbuka, Jack Sawyer, JD Tuimoloau. They brought in 3 key transfers and Caleb Downs, 100 tackles as a freshman at Bama. Will Howard won the Big 12. Quinshon Judkins, 2 1,000-yard seasons. And I understand they lost 2 games during the regular season, 1 to Michigan. So I know these boys are happy. They lost by a combined 3 points. And so, combined 4 points, sorry. And so, were they the 8th best team in America, like the playoff format put them?
No.
Nah. And I think that the fact that they weren't the favorites going in is crazy. And this is coming from a guy that picked Oregon. I picked Oregon to win it all, and I picked Oregon to beat
me
Ohio
too.
State.
Me too.
Because Oregon, I thought, was the 2nd best team in the country.
Me too.
And let's give props to Notre Dame. third-year Marcus Freeman.
Oh, 100%.
After they lost to NIU, a lot of people thought they were dead in the water.
Yeah.
They beat the crap out of everyone on their way.
Yeah.
And I guess
they
they beat Penn State by 3, but they relied on their
Except
best
for
defense in the
NIU,
nation.
but
Except for NIU. So good for the Buckeyes and stuff. And Ohio State won the first 4 team and the first 12 team.
Yeah.
Michigan won the Natty last year, so it's fun for you guys. But good for them. Ohio State will be in the same position next year.
And I mean, it's like it's a good turning point. I was listening to Colin Cowherd talk yesterday about how, like, I don't know, man, that SEC might be in a little trouble right now.
Might be.
But I think people
back to back Big Ten national champions. Like,
but I think to that fault, people are taking that and they're running with it. And now I hear people talking about SEC is in the most dominant conference, which I have to say, I think we're jumping the gun there. I think we're jumping the gun. I think that the SEC teams have gotten ahead of themselves. One, Nick Saban's gone, right? Lane Kiffin didn't do as great as he was supposed to. Brian Kelly kind of failed at his responsibilities.
Yeah, Kelly's not there yet.
It's just, I think it's a really powerful conference, and with all the teams meeting, at some point, teams are going to lose, right? Georgia lost to somebody, Texas lost to somebody. All the SEC teams lost to another SEC team. Mm-hmm. It's just a really good team. You look at the Big Ten. Half of the Big Ten is really good, and the other half is not good, right? So
that's why they got rid of the East and the West, right?
Yeah, that's why there's such a gap right now, I feel like.
And look, I'm not the guy that's gonna defend the SEC on everything. They sort of got the raw end of the deal in the past 2 playoffs. The SEC champion was without their starting quarterback. I think Georgia scores more than 10 points if Carson Beck plays. They probably beat Notre Dame. Like, I'm not going to feed on the hypotheticals. Notre Dame deserved to beat them. 2 years ago, who won the SEC? Bama, and Georgia didn't get in. Bama lost to Michigan in overtime, double overtime. The SEC is still the best conference. I mean, 5 teams got in this, or should have gotten in this year. Guarantee you next year, Bama will be back. Texas will be back. Georgia will be back. Ole Miss might be back. Other teams, A&M, there's other ones, Tennessee, with Nico.
I also have to say this about the SEC. I think people, because of the stature of these programs, people overinflate them year after year. For example, Bama was good this year, but they definitely should not have been in the playoffs because they lost 3 games, right? And just because they're Bama, just because they're a blue blood program doesn't automatically usher them into this, they should be in the playoffs, because it's a new year every year. You spend a different amount of money. Teams also position themselves, right? We have to be on an even playing field. I've seen so much about people talking about, I don't like the bracket, and I don't like this. Well, you're going to have problems, right? There are going to be teams that everyone thinks should get in that shouldn't get in. That's about the SEC.
Don't lose to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, and then we're not having these conversations.
Simple.
I think it just, my point to bring up the back-to-back Big Ten national champions, I think it just puts the college football world on notice a little bit.
I thought Ohio State was the best team in college football this year, and I thought Michigan was the best team in college football last year.
I think it just puts the world on notice a little bit. Like, hey, Big Ten's coming. The
Big Ten's been here.
They've always been here, yeah. But I mean, if you want to look at recent years, national championship wise, even go back to BCS, that was SEC football, but really dominating those championship wins, and it's I think now.
But I think
we can see a turning point here in terms of who's going to be last man standing.
But I think it's less of SEC and more of the powerhouses in the SEC. For example, Mississippi State. Where have they been the last decade? Nowhere, right? You look like Texas A&M, apart from Johnny Football, where have they been? Almost nowhere. It's the powerhouse. Nick Saban retired and everything opened up. So then everyone's like, well, the SEC isn't as powerful. No, Nick Saban isn't there, so Alabama isn't representing the SEC. You got Kirby Smart, but Kirby Smart isn't Nick Saban, so it's a little bit more spread open. People are allowed to win and lose a little bit more as opposed to trying to take down a dynasty.
And I think to your point with the expansion, you kind of point to that as well, though. Texas was Texas football in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Was the last time they won Vince Young? 2005. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they were power. Had a little downfall right there, but they're back. They're in the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, same with the Big Ten though. They add Oregon. They've been a powerhouse since I could remember 2008-ish. You add USC, who's been a powerhouse forever.
Yeah, traditional program, just can't get it done right
now. So it's I think the expansion also points to, it's going to be these two conferences.
And people aren't
each year, like it's going to be these two.
And I think these college athletes are also realizing I don't have to go to Bama to go to the league. I can go to Tulane and get $5 million and still be the star and get a draft spot.
Yeah.
So now you don't need Nick Saban. You don't
the
need
money definitely
right. You don't need to play for USC or
out.
Texas. You can go play for a smaller school that's not as much of a powerhouse. Still make your money and get to the league.
Oh yeah, the money spreads everything out. Like
look at the top 5 picks in the league this year.
Oh yeah,
none of them are from the SEC. Probably.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward.
Like it spreads everything out. Like to your point, you don't have to go to.
And Travis
Bama.
was supposed to go to Florida State.
You don't have to have all these 5 stars teaming up at Bama because it's Bama and it's like that's where I'm gonna get my run. That's where I'm gonna get my publicity. That's where I'm gonna get this and that and wins. Like no, you can go to Virginia Tech and make millions of dollars. You can go to even Oklahoma State, make millions of dollars.
It's just a new age.
Yeah. So I think I really like where college football is right now and where it's heading, especially once we get into the whole bill passing and colleges being able to actually directly pay the athletes. I really like where college football is heading.
This is not to take away from Ohio State, and it's not to take away from Notre Dame, and it's not to take away from future champions. But I think the biggest problem with the college football playoff right now, there are 2 conferences that are extremely better than the other ones. And so the losers of those conference championships, a la Penn State, a la Ohio State, even though they weren't in it, and a la Texas, they are, we could all agree, better teams than Boise State and Arizona State.
Yeah.
But since Boise State and Arizona State won their conferences, they go to 3 and 4, which pushed Texas and Penn State down to 5 and 6. Then pushed the Notre Dame and Ohio State, the 2 teams that were in the Natty, down to 7 and 8. And that's a penalty against the 1 and 2 teams because the biggest thing was Oregon went 13-0 and their first game has to be against Ohio State, which is the one team that you can make an argument is better than them.
Yeah.
That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you got to win your football games. You get an extra week of preparation.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, that's like the.
Like it's an excuse. But
you beat Michigan. You
At
don't
the end
have
of the
to.
day, you gotta win though. You gotta win.
I do think one more thing, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Not to harp on the format too much. Ohio State losing to Michigan was the best thing that could have happened to them.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I will. If you don't believe that,
I
argue
said
with the
that.
wall.
I said that last week that they should be thanking Michigan.
They should.
They should be thanking Michigan for that loss.
He got his team in. Ryan Day motivated them, and they absolutely
Michigan dared Ohio State to strictly run the football, and they realized that is not their identity as an offense and as a brand.
Yep.
When you have Jeremiah Smith on the outside. Which
Can we talk about?
Which actually just made me think about that last play.
I was about to say, who was the defensive coordinator who thought
I don't know why
soft
you would
coverage
do
with
that.
no safety help on the game on the line with a man-child?
You don't put Jeremiah Smith on an island out there one-on-one. Like, you just don't do that.
That was the same guy that was jumping up and down in the red zone. Was like,
like that's the most important play of the game.
Yeah,
as
you're not.
As
Notre Dame defensive coordinator Al Golden. Notre Dame played the most man-to-man in college football this year.
Where did he just sign?
Al
Cincinnati?
Yeah, Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati. Just against Ohio State, the one time you're facing a personnel deficit that entire season, calling a man-to-man play against an absolute freak, that just didn't make a lot of sense. You should have dropped into coverage and hoped they bet you in the middle.
We need to do a whole lesson on defensive coordinators because they really irk me. Like sometimes defensive coverage just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And they honed it and like Notre Dame's defense was
yeah,
we'll talk about it. Notre Dame's defense was second in college football in points per game allowed, behind only Ohio State. They're top 10 in yards per game allowed. Ohio State was 1. Ohio State's offense was the best in points per game throughout the college football playoff. Notre Dame was facing a disadvantage in that area, and they sent 7 against an offensive line that only gave up 12 sacks all year.
Like
it just didn't make a lot of sense. And Al Golden, you did a great job. Marcus Freeman, you used to be defensive coordinator. That's just not the call.
I know, and like it frustrated me so bad because like Notre Dame's defense was so much better than that. Like
they don't deserve to go out like that.
They were so much better than that.
Yeah,
so much better than that. Especially that last play. Like you're just so much better than that, and you give that up. Like that's just you just can't do that in that situation. You can't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think next week we really go into the flawed playoff model, what they should do for next year.
I'm down. Is there anything else we should say about the Buckeyes or about the Irish? Like I could start
hats off. Yeah. Congratulations, Ohio State.
Yeah, congrats. Like, I'll give my props to the senior class because even though they didn't beat Michigan, they came back to win a national championship, and they did that.
Yeah.
A lot of them could have went to the league, and they chose that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ohio State did what modern college football is. They addressed the portal.
Yeah.
Got 3 studs. And I think they were the best team in college football this year. And again, I picked Oregon because I didn't think Ohio State would rebound after beating Michigan.
And then
they did.
One more thing, I think Notre Dame's really in a beautiful spot.
I agree.
With this college football model as an independent.
Yeah, all the money goes to them.
All the money goes to them.
$20 million.
They don't have to go play Ohio State in the regular season, Oregon in the regular season. They don't have to go play Texas or Bama or LSU. They can keep playing their opponents that they've been playing, win.
But at the same time, they're not ducking. They get Miami
playoff.
week 0 next year.
No, they're not ducking. Yeah. That's not an excuse for them to go duck. But I mean, like, it just point. Yeah, like they're in the best position that you can be in for this playoff model.
I totally agree with that.
So
totally agree with that and stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I like where college football is. I like where it's heading. I'm excited for next season for sure.
All right, you want to get into
the big leagues,
playoffs?
Let's go to the pros, baby.
All right,
hit us up with an intro.
We'll
recap.
Go to it. I'm
the
sorry.
Button.
All right, I want to start with Texans Chiefs just because it'll be a little bit more simple. Then we can go Eagles Rams and then Bills Ravens and then Lions Commanders to cap it off because we got a lot to say about the Lions. All right, let's get into the Chiefs Texans. Chiefs won, beat the Texans at home in the playoffs 23-14. What do we think? Obviously the big. If you're watching this, if you watch the game, you know the big story was the referees. That's what the Texans blamed the game on. Post game, a lot of players, Will Anderson,
yep.
Joe Mixon, even the coach, D'Amico Ryans said, it's us versus them when we go out there. So what do we think? How the game go? Was it the refs' fault? What's going on?
I'm not gonna blame the refs. I'm just not gonna be that guy. But seriously though, like something has to be done. Like there's got to be a review here. Or
you saw what Marlon Humphrey said.
Like something's got to be done here. Like I've said it each week in and out. I've said it since we started this podcast. Like the Chiefs just get bailed out.
They're beatable.
They're beatable. They're so beatable.
They are
yes,
beatable.
they are so beatable. They are beatable. If you're gonna take those ditzy,
dude, I don't know if they're beatable,
butterfly.
It's not like
Little
they're
League
perfect.
favoritism calls.
They're definitely not perfect.
Patrick Mahomes, somebody I can't remember, a DB said during the game, Patrick Mahomes will give you one. He will give you a turnover. He'll give you a pick nowadays. He'll give you one pick. And half the time, they don't catch it or people don't get to the spot. And then, we talk about the penalties. Here's what I got to say about the penalties. The Chiefs do what they have to do every game. Patrick Mahomes is sensational. Every time you need him to go get 3, every time you need to go get a touchdown, game winner, he goes and does it. Now, at the same time, I'm not here to say that the NFL is rigged. But there is an agenda that is pushed where they get calls that other teams wouldn't get. So I'm not saying that refs are making things up, but what I'm saying is they're getting every call. So when it comes down to the wire, we can all recount a couple of games where there was a bad call or a call went against the team. It doesn't happen with Patrick Mahomes, right? There's always a late game pass interference that goes exactly their way. There's a late hit that goes their way exactly. It's never the reverse where Patrick Mahomes is backed up because of a penalty. The last time I can remember was when Kadarius Toney. It was a Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
And so that was like the last time I can remember the
Buffalo.
Chiefs getting railed by the refs. But everyone knows that their team eventually gets hurt by the refs. The refs make a bad call. I'm pretty sure the league has an agenda to push Patrick Mahomes to the Super Bowl. I know that he's great. I'm not saying that he's not great. He is the greatest quarterback that I've seen in terms of talent-wise, in terms of getting it done in the playoffs. But I think the league also says this guy is great for branding, so we're going to give him the calls that we wouldn't give the Lions, that we wouldn't give the Jets, that we wouldn't give the Bears in this position. He gets a little bit of a benefit of the doubt.
No, 100% he does. The rigging is just a crazy, like,
I don't think
a crazy
it's rigged.
jump. Like, it's a crazy, like,
But see, my definition
There's
of
no
rigged.
professional league that's rigged. It's
But here's the thing.
Can we investigate the refs? How about that?
No, here's the thing though. No, here's the thing.
Defense.
The NBA was rigged because refs were literally telling people to bet on things based on the Tim Donahue situation. That's what I'm saying.
On the league. That's on the refs.
But what I'm saying is, I think the league is leaning on the refs and saying, this is our golden guy. This is our cash cow. This is our guy. Like the same thing with Tom Brady. Tom Brady got the benefit of a lot of calls. The tuck rule.
Yeah, and I think it just
he won a Super Bowl off the tuck
I
rule.
think it just happens though. Also, like when you become that guy in the league.
But that's why I'm saying, like, that's what it is. I don't think it's rigged where they're like, Patrick Mahomes has to be in the Super Bowl. But I think they're like, if it comes down to it, this is the league's guy. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. My thing is like one quick thing before you go, Jake, is like you've got to also be more careful on defense. Will Anderson's got to be more careful with that hit.
But
there's
that's
other ways.
But that's not his fault, though.
Okay, but there's other ways. There are other ways to hit somebody.
Okay,
and with like
but how are you? Okay,
it was I'll give the Will Anderson one. It was a close one. I don't think it should have been called. I think it was weak, but you know the situation that you're in when you walk into
turn that
Arrowhead.
off your screen. You gotta take that off. You gotta take that off. You gotta take that off.
ESPN's playing.
No, you gotta take that off.
ESPN's
no, you gotta
playing
take that off. You gotta take that off.
It's Ben Johnson.
No, we gotta take that off.
It's
I'm
Ben
sorry.
Johnson's
Sorry to
Chicago
interrupt
Bear.
you. We gotta take that off.
He hasn't accepted the fact that Ben Johnson's gone.
No. Listen. I know he's gone. I don't want to look at him.
Valid.
Wait, keep going. You're gonna look at him for the next 4 weeks, bro.
Yeah, when we whooped that
the whole summer.
When we put BTA on the Bears.
Anyways, I just feel like you have to know the situation and you have to be more careful.
You do. You have to know the situation. And the Texans were the first team in NFL modern history to outgain their opponent by 100 yards, not turn over the ball and lose. You know what I say to that? You gotta find a way to win. The Kansas City Chiefs are much more than Patrick Mahomes. Their defense allowed less than 20 points in 10 out of 16 games this year when they had their starters on the field. They're fourth in the league in points per game allowed at 19. If you are a quarterback going into Arrowhead Stadium or having Patrick Mahomes come to you, you better put up north than 20.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you get the calls. If you're not scoring on that Chiefs defense, you'll know that the greatest quarterback of our generation is going to win that football game. And that's why, if you're the Buffalo Bills and you're whoever the Chiefs play in the Super Bowl, that's my prediction, the Chiefs are going to beat the Bills. You better be up by double digits in the fourth. Because if you're not, and you're up by one score, the Chiefs are going to win the football game. Because there will be either a quote-unquote rig, even though it's not. The NFL is not rigged, but the Chiefs will get the benefit of the doubt. Just like Tom Brady did, just like Joe Montana did, just like Joe freaking Namath did sometimes.
Yeah.
My king. Love you. The Chiefs' defense is damn good. You got to find a way to score, and you got to find a way to play in front. Because if you're playing behind on Kansas City, you have zero chance against Patrick Mahomes. You have zero chance against Andy Reid. You have zero chance against Steve Spagnuolo. You have zero chance against anybody in red and yellow. And that's because they win the battle in everything. They're going to win the quarterback battle in everything. They're going to win the coaching battle. They're going to win. They have studs on every level of the defense. Chris Jones, Nick Bolton, Trent McDuffie, Justin Reed, blah, blah, blah. I'm going on and on.
And Steve Spagnuolo.
Look, do the Chiefs get the benefit of the doubt? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to deny that. Is the NFL scripted for the Chiefs to win? No, build a better football team. Yeah. The Texans were, by the way, they played well. They're two of their starting wide receivers. Gruesome injuries out for the season. You're running with a fourth and fifth string, and Nico Collins getting triple teamed, and they play it close. But one, the Chiefs are good at close games, and two, build a better team.
Make field goals.
Build a better team. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback of this generation. He will find a way to win if it's within double digits.
Make field goals as well.
He'll find a way to win all the time. Make field goals as well, too. Yeah,
Fairbairn, what are you doing?
Fairbairn, you got to make field goals.
Come on, buddy. We knew that these field goals would be crucial, and you just
crucial.
Missed.
Very crucial.
Missed 55. Missed them.
Against Kansas City, you just have to learn how to chip away, and you literally need to capitalize on everything because you know something's going to be against you. And the Texans didn't do it. They scored 6 points in the first half. They're playing from behind. And that's going to be the case with any of these. I could look at the Chiefs' game log right now. Steelers, they got in front. Texans, they got in front. Browns, they got in front. The Chiefs never play from behind. Even in the Buffalo game, they barely played from behind. And so, if you're Josh Allen and you're going in there and we're about to pivot to that Bills-Ravens game, you got to be on the front foot. You got to be aggressive. And I know Joe Brady will be, by the way. I know Joe Brady will be, and we'll get to that in a second. But, like, you got to know that the Chiefs are going to get the benefit of the doubt, and you have to be in front of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Speak Spagnuolo. They're not going to lose a game.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose a game like the Lions or Ravens did this weekend. I'm sorry. I love you
No, they're
guys.
not giving anything away.
They're not giving anything away. So
No.
you better have a goddamn good game plan, or else they're going their way, and Taylor Swift's going to be on the field after Super Bowl.
Hey, shout out to Travis Kelce as well. That was a hell of a game
I'm sorry,
from
that
him.
was an epic rant for me.
It was a hell of a game from him.
Travis Kelce.
Don't
great.
know what Taylor Swift did to him before the game, but
Right.
probably something great. So you haven't seen that all year. I'll tell you that.
I don't know about you.
So I just had to put that out there. I thought I was watching 2017 Travis Kelce right
Did you
there.
guys see the meme
that
of
was
Travis Kelce running downfield and
that
it's the
was-
old guy with the cane and stuff?
no.
I'll show you guys that.
Okay.
You'll find it funny. But let's move
yeah.
though. The Chiefs
Pivot
welcome
over.
in the Buffalo Bills, and Buffalo just beat the Baltimore Ravens in the divisional round, and then we'll set the slate for Bills Chiefs. But let's talk about Bills Ravens for a second. And who wants to start this? I could go on another epic rant.
I wanna go real quick.
Go. Don't make it quick. Don't let me peer pressure you.
I
Peer pressure.
I just want to get this off my chest. I am sick and tired of that Lamar Jackson hate. It's bullshit. I don't know what people have with him. I don't know what it is, but like, let's stop that shit right now. We point out the
He wasn't the
elephant.
reason they lost.
We point the elephant out in the room of why they lost. Mark Andrews dropped
I can't.
the
I'm
football.
actually not allowed to point out the elephant in the room for other reasons. I'm not allowed to talk about it.
But
Not allowed. You guys go for it. I'm not allowed.
Mark Andrews
Yeah.
should be the number one topic of sports this whole week. I don't care. You can't drop that ball in that situation.
You can't drop that ball in any situation, man.
I've seen some people argue that it should have been better ball placement. How else do you want him to place that ball?
No, that's
He's an NFL tight end.
He's an
in
NFL tight
your
end.
range, you have to catch the football. Sorry.
And you just also can't fumble it. You can't fumble at that point, at that juncture.
And-
Like, everyone knows that late in the ball game, you have to play conservative. You have to hold the ball tight because they're gonna try and punch it. Everyone knows you run over the middle, someone's gonna try and peanut punch it. You have to hold on to it. He held it in one hand, it was loose, and he punched it out. What happens? That's what. Now I gotta say this. Did you get your takes off or?
I wanted to get one
ahead.
more point across. The turnovers. A lot of people want to point at Lamar for the turnovers. Mark Andrews fumbled the football
That was the
actually in
worst
the
one.
fourth quarter, which was probably one of the biggest momentum swingers of that game.
Yeah, they were driving, right, man? Like, how much were they down? They were only down like 3 in that scenario.
Yeah,
So-
they're only
Pretty
down.
sure it was 3, and you fumbled the football.
Move those chains. Move those chains.
Yeah, that Ravens part was wild. So yeah, I'm sick and tired of that shit. Lamar Jackson is quite literally the reason why they were back in that football game. That was a hell of a fourth quarter by him. I don't think anyone wants to point that out, what he was doing on those drives for them. Like, that damn near was unstoppable in the fourth quarter, if you ask me. I don't think the Bills had an answer for him in the fourth quarter.
The Ravens didn't punt the entire game, by the way.
Yeah.
And we just don't want to talk about Mark Andrews. That's what I was just pissed off about that. So I had to get that off my chest.
I love Lamar, and I'll never discredit Lamar because I always believed he's the face of the Ravens. He's the reason why they're there every year. 2-time MVP, potentially 3. Can't fumble in that spot. That one was on him for sure. I mean, you can't fumble. Go ahead, take a sack, kick a field goal, whatever. Cannot fumble in that spot. And when it happened, when he started twisting, I was like, you got to go down because every now and then, that's the thing about Lamar. And I hear people talking about this, and this is the thing about Lamar. It's almost like when it comes time for the playoffs, he doesn't play as freely as he normally does. When he's in the regular season, he flows. It's like water when he's playing. Like he'll hit a spin move and then he'll juke, cut, and then make a 40-yard pass to Likely. Or he'll juke and spin and then run for 30 yards. I know that it was snowing out. It just didn't feel like it doesn't feel like in the playoffs Lamar has that same. I feel like he tightens up just a little bit.
He wasn't running the ball, which was weird to me. Like he wasn't running.
And say if I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm telling Todd Monken, we're gonna do this the way we're gonna do it. Like this team, no team has been able to stop us running. We have the best running back. We have the best running quarterback. We have the best run game. We have Justice Hill.
You have an offensive line that's been clicking too.
Right, and they're just not. It doesn't seem like he's playing the same way. Because in the regular season, he'll throw 4 touchdowns and 240 yards and have a great game, and he'll have like 4 passing, 1 rushing. But in the playoffs, it just seems like he shrinks just a little bit. And I'm not bringing the hate to him, but he's got to play with this sense of like it doesn't matter. Because I feel like he's getting to the point where it's like he has the ghosts of Ravens past. Now, the last thing I'll say about Lamar is this. Peyton Manning went 3-5 in his first 8 playoff games.
I have that written down.
So has Lamar Jackson. It's very possible for him to turn it around and be a Hall of Famer. He's already a Hall of Famer. It's very possible for him. If he wins a Super Bowl, he becomes a top 5 quarterback of all time. If he wins another MVP, he becomes a top 5 quarterback of all time in terms of that grouping.
In terms of talent and
in terms of that grouping. So it's very possible for him to turn around. I think he will, but he needs to play with this sense of looseness, a sense of like fluidity that he doesn't have.
I really like what both you guys just said. I really do. I thought Lamar Jackson handled it really well post-game too when asked about Mark Andrews, saying like he wasn't the only one, like we're a team, I shouldn't have had my turnovers and stuff. Lamar played fine. The Ravens were nearly unstoppable in the fourth. Those fumbles sucked. And I said it last week, even if the quarterbacks have an epic duel, which they didn't, the loser was going to have to deal with the fact that their legacy, at least for the next year, is going to be they can't win in the playoffs and they haven't made it back to the AFC Championship in a while. The Ravens, I love the point of playing loose because the Ravens, it seems like every playoff loss they have, man, they just sort of tighten up. 10 points against Kansas City at home last year. Yeah. Pick 6, Taron Johnson last time they were at Buffalo. When they played, when they were the 1 seed and Tennessee came into their building, like Lamar didn't play well in that one. So there's definitely something there. And Lamar Jackson's a damn good quarterback. But that's just his legacy right now until proven otherwise. And just like Josh Allen's legacy until proven otherwise is that he can't beat Mahomes in the playoffs. The other thing, the Ravens' defense was not good. They sacked Josh Allen once. And it wasn't even a sack. It was a QB sneak that went backwards and stuff. Yeah. And Josh Allen did not play well in the air. In terms of yardage, he actually had a pretty decent like yards per attempt and stuff. Completions, 16 for 22. I could throw out any stat I want. They couldn't stop Josh Allen on the ground. They couldn't tackle. And by the way, it was snowing. The Ravens were soft. They were soft. The Bills beat them to everything. And if you're going into a place where the Bills were 9-0 at home going into this game, right? 8 during the regular season, then beat Denver. They beat the crap out of Denver. Why are you playing so tight?
Yeah.
Why are you playing so tight? And you're letting and Baltimore scored the first lead too. Keep your foot on their neck.
Exactly.
They didn't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it was a much different defensive game than it was in Week 4, which was odd to me. I just feel like
it just felt like the Ravens were playing with nothing to win for, and the Bills were playing with nothing to lose.
Yeah, 100%.
It just felt like the Ravens were playing not to lose rather than to win. Like they were trying to like just beat Allen, just squeak it out enough, do enough to try and win. It wasn't like, okay, we're the better team, let's go in there and just demolish them. It didn't feel like they got pushed around. Like Linderbaum, their center, he was getting pushed around by that D line. There was several plays where he couldn't find his footing.
And that's one of the best centers in the league too. Yeah. But just like Buffalo, props to them. I mean, that defensive line. I'm sorry I keep interrupting you guys, by the way. For some reason, I've been doing it a lot. Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, anybody you put on that line, Daquan Jones was
Ed
great.
Oliver.
Ed Oliver, right? Ed Oliver's got that bag for a reason and stuff. And like the Bills met the Ravens at every crucial point in the game, and they didn't only beat them, they smacked them there. Yeah. And that made the difference and stuff. And I think I picked Buffalo last week only because it was at Buffalo and stuff. I wasn't trying to discredit the Ravens. I'm a bit more sour on them because of what happened. And also, they were down 21-10 at halftime, right? Then they're playing from behind, and they played well in the second half, but don't go down 10 to a team that doesn't lose at home. Yeah. That's just me, though. That's just me. I'm not a football coach. I'm just someone that likes to talk ball. I'm a talk ball tweaker.
When you also have, like, miscues where he was supposed to throw that deep pass to Bateman, and Bateman did an out route, and he threw it straight, and it was like he threw a punt.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like they just gotten the ball back, and it was like they just turned it over. You can't have those mistakes in the playoffs where you're not on the same page with your receivers,
Right.
and it ends up being an easy pick, and everyone's like, what's going on? You can't do that. So it's like every time also the Ravens, their game plan never works. Like whoever their offensive coordinator is, Tom Munkin or whoever was before,
We're blanking. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I can't remember the OCs, but
Bro, even going back to Joe Flacco, they just shrivel up in the playoffs going back to 2012.
Yeah.
But let's do we have anything more to talk about the Ravens? They'll be in the same spot.
is
next
that
year,
is that a
right?
Harbaugh issue?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I'm not doing no.
I don't think you could put Harbaugh on the hot seat, or we wish you weren't. But I don't think you could.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on the hot seat.
That's what
but
I don't know why I said that, but like you can't blame John Harbaugh for the loss.
He won a Super Bowl. Like
Also,
I mean, Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl and he got fired. So
he did.
that is true.
This
I
is
mean,
true.
yeah.
But Mike McCarthy got fired 7 years after he won.
Todd
the Super Bowl.
Bowles won a
like-
Super Bowl and he got canned after like
Tom
2 years.
Brady.
Yeah,
Tom Brady.
Hell of a defense.
it's true.
Well, Bowles was a DC on that team too, but it doesn't matter.
No, Arians.
Yeah, Arians. Just Arians.
But look, I'm not allowed to talk about that one play, and I'm not allowed to go personal with the Ravens. I got enemies. Got
all right,
a
we
lot
can
of
move
enemies.
on.
Just move on the Eagles, Rams.
Buffalo. No. We did not talk about the Buffalo Bills enough. They are
Okay.
a damn good football team. They lost Stephon Diggs in the offseason, and they are a wagon, and they showed it again because, like I said, the Ravens were not prepared to play the Buffalo Bills in the trenches. The Bills' pass protection was good. Their defensive line was better. Khalil Shakir led the receiving 6 for 67. Like I said, not a great game in the air. Josh Allen.
Yeah, but like
He wasn't that spectacular.
just like 127 yards passing. Like
I mean,
Two touchdowns on the ground, though.
I mean, you knew that he wasn't gonna have a lot of passing yards with the snow.
I mean, what
and
were
ice.
those? Like within 5 yards, right? I'm not discrediting Josh Allen at all. That's
No, he
not
wasn't
what I'm doing.
spectacular. That's
It's
what made the
just-
Ravens' loss even worse because
Right.
it wasn't like he did a
like,
good job. He
it's-
did what he was
it's-
supposed
it's
to,
not
but
like
he didn't go above and
was
beyond.
like yeah, exactly.
So let me
He wasn't-
rephrase then. Does Josh Allen need to be spectacular to beat Patrick Mahomes next week?
Yes, absolutely.
He needs to be perfect. I don't know if it's spectacular.
Absolutely.
He just needs to be perfect.
No, he needs to be fucking spectacular.
I don't think spectacular because we always say that they're beatable, right? They're beatable if you do everything. If you're perfect, if the team is perfect, then they're beatable. So if Josh Allen is perfect, if Tyler Bass is perfect, if the defense plays how they're supposed to play, they can win that game. That's beatable. They're beatable.
Yeah.
I don't think he needs to be spectacular. I don't think he needs to turn into Superman. But
Like
he
last
needs-
time they played
yeah,
KC, by the way,
I
right?
just
Yeah.
I just think that he needs to
mean-
he needs to be perfect. Make the pass where the pass is.
Yeah,
Now, if the pass isn't there, go be spectacular because you're a $60 million quarterback. But I don't think he needs to be spectacular all the time. That was his issue, was that he was trying to be Mr. Spectacular. He was throwing all those picks and turning the ball over and fumbling.
I think
Yeah.
I think Buffalo needs to go in there with the nothing
just
to lose mentality, right?
plays the game.
Allen's 0-3 against Mahomes in the playoffs. The
If it's a mental thing for Allen and he goes in there and he's thinking about like, oh man, I haven't beat him, they're not gonna win. But
not
if he
gonna
goes
win.
in there and he says, I'm the MVP, I'm gonna play the way we're gonna be playing, we're not gonna deviate from the way we've been playing this year, I'm not gonna return into the old Josh Allen, they can win that.
The Bills are 0-2 at under Josh Allen in Arrowhead Stadium and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And one of them was one of the best games we've ever seen, that
Yeah.
overtime game. And the
Yeah.
other one was Josh Allen was so young, so it's sort of hard to hold it against him.
Yeah.
The Bills got to play like there's nothing to lose, man. Like because there is nothing to lose because it's either Pat Mahomes makes his third Super Bowl business as usual, or it's the Bills go in there and put their foot on the gas and they make the Super Bowl and it's their chance to win their first one ever. And they got to if they play like a regular football game and they're playing not to lose against Mahomes, guarantee you they'll lose.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
You're gonna make a mistake at some point if they play that way.
And great. And Josh Allen, by the way, he's allowed to make mistakes. Everybody was complaining about his turnovers last season and stuff, and he really cut down this year. He has a cannon. If he throws some picks, he throws some picks, especially on Sunday if he's able to lead his team down on drives and stuff.
No,
The
he
Bills-
can't throw a pick this
can't throw-
Sunday.
he
If he
can't-
throws a pick, they're done
can't
for.
throw
I think he
pick.
could throw a pick and they could still win the game. Like the Bills' defense is good enough to get a stop or two.
Yeah, but
At least.
that means you're gonna have to.
You're gonna play
You're gonna-
from
you're gonna-
behind
yeah.
on Mahomes.
You want to
That's-
play from behind, and then you're gonna, and then he's
gonna have to be spectacular, and then he's gonna throw another one.
gonna have to be
gonna force it.
spectacular, and then you're gonna actually have to really, really pray that the Chiefs make a mistake on offense, which
They don't.
don't
really.
see too
Yeah.
don't see too much of those ever.
I do
So,
want to see them get James Cook involved too. Like Cook was pretty good on Sunday and stuff,
he's
and I think
run. Yeah, he's gonna run.
he's gonna run. So that'll be interesting and stuff. But like, we could talk more about the AFC Championship after it's all said and done. We can move to NFC and stuff, and we'll give our predictions at the end of these divisional reviews.
Philly, Los Angeles. I mean, I told y'all, like, I don't know what y'all feel like. Philly, come on.
Did he pick the Rams?
He did.
But
That's
think about it. No,
I don't mind that.
no, but think about it. If
sleeper
Jalen Carter doesn't sack Stafford at the end,
there's a chance.
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 Yeah,
like it wasn't like a blowout or anything, but there was a chance.
The Rams hung in there, and I think a lot of us knew.
The big question that everyone's been asking is, Saquon Barkley always has like 200 yards on the ground. They always have a great run game, but they haven't been passing. AJ Brown's been throwing a fit. He's been reading books on the sideline. Do they need a passing game to come back?
I don't think you can really fault them for that, though, in the middle of a snowstorm, though. But
it's been previous to that when there's no snowstorm, like the game before that and the game before that.
There's been relationship problems with AJ Brown this entire season.
There has. I don't.
Dude, if they're winning like this,
I don't
imagine
know.
if they do get them involved in these next two games.
Like I said, that you have that much offensive star power. Someone's gonna have to take a back seat and be fine with it. And I mean, if he's not getting the ball here and there a couple weeks, like I just don't feel like it's a big issue. To me, I don't know. To me, at least. Especially when Saquon Barkley's running the football like that.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley's such a game changer.
It's
best free agent signing in history almost.
Him and Derrick Henry are both up there, I think. If Barkley wins the Super Bowl, or if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, I think Barkley's, yes, absolutely.
Like a major contributor to why A.J. Brown's not having the monster season that he had last year, which A.J. Brown is still having a hell of a year. Let's not...
After missing like 5 games, too.
Exactly. Like, everyone's acting like he's only caught 500 receiving yards. Like AJ Brown's having a hell of a year. It's just
tell that to AJ Brown.
It's just I mean,
that's where the problem's coming from. He keeps coming to the media every game that he doesn't get the ball. But he goes to the media and he's like, there's something wrong with our passing game. And then he gets the ball and he's like, there's nothing wrong. And then the next game he's like, I need to calm myself because I'm not getting the ball. It's like, shut up! Like you're getting paid $40 million. I get it, and you're winning. That's the thing too. You're winning. It's not like they're losing and they refuse to give him the ball. Yeah. You're winning. Please sit on the sideline. Accept the fact that Saquon Barkley is playing the best football of his career, and you might win a ring, and you'll be all right.
AJ Brown hasn't said a word in the past 4 weeks.
Well, okay.
They tried to blame that damn book, and he literally goes on Twitter and he's like, "I don't know why you guys are on my dick right now."
But that's passive. But that's being passive aggressive.
AJ Brown definitely has a problem with the way he's been used and stuff. Yeah. He might not have said stuff in the past few weeks and stuff because, look, winning cures everything. Yeah. And you have the Offensive Player of the Year on your team because Saquon Barkley is going to win it. Like, he's going to win it. Give him the award already. You got to get him more involved, and he's definitely upset, but so is Devonta Smith. And also Jalen Hurts, like, he's been playing hurt, and so he hasn't been healthy. And now look, I'm not going to disrespect the Washington Commanders, but if the Eagles want to revamp this pass game and get it going, the Commanders' pass defense is not good compared to the other teams they played. So draw something up. But then you got your boy Jaden coming in, and we'll get to that in a second. I understand the concerns with A.J. Brown. But Saquon Barkley had a 78 and 62-yard touchdown.
Yeah, like
he's a freak.
He's running like. My thing is, in comparison to AJ Brown's last year or this year, like Philly did not have a consistent run game last year. They did not have an efficient run game last year.
No, they did not.
You signed Saquon Barkley. What the hell do you think is going to happen? It's Saquon Barkley. Like I don't know why people have thought this is such rocket science. Production's going to go down on the outside if you got Saquon Barkley in your backfield.
But nobody's saying that. Everyone's saying it because he's saying it. If A.J. Brown never went to the media throughout the season and said, hey, our pass game needs to get better, if he wasn't reading a book on the sidelines, people wouldn't have a problem with it. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
name on one hand how many receivers have been so angry at their playing at their usage on the team. They've been reading books on the sideline. It's not a common occurrence.
Yeah, that's why people book was definitely over the top, and he dug the hole for himself because of what happened.
Over the top, but he had like a 100+ yard game in Washington, and he was reading the fucking book on the sideline. Like I don't know what the issue is here. Is my thing. It's like I just feel like I feel like they had struggles a couple weeks with the passing game. They did.
Yeah.
And they fixed them.
I don't know.
I don't think you can blame the passing game right now. These past 2 games with what Jalen Hurts last game 15 of 20, 128 yards. Saquon Barkley had 2 long ass runs. There's nothing you're gonna do. You win the football game.
Mm-hmm.
L.A. or Green Bay 13 of 21, 131, 2 touchdowns. What else do you want him to do?
I don't know if it's a want him to do something, but I think we all agree if you're going to beat, 1, the Commanders, but 2, if you get the Chiefs or Bills, who are 2 really good pass offenses, you got to get the pass game going. And I think that's our common thing. I think A.J. Brown, I think Toussaint agrees with me, sort of did dig this hole for what he was saying and stuff. And now,
because think about it, if they're playing in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, and for whatever reason the Chiefs stack the box and stop Saquon, and they're forced to throw the ball, and Jalen Hurts,
who's to say that they are going to struggle throwing the ball? Is what I'm trying to get at.
The past 2 games against 2 worst pass defenses.
But I also attribute that, like he's saying.
But
I think they're just been running
Saquon has run the hell out the football. It's like
that's a good point. Yeah.
If the running game doesn't fail, I
feel like it's beneficent when it's needed to be.
It's complimentary.
And everything else has been Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, but if you're the farther you go into the playoffs, the better the pass defenses really get. So it's like if your quarterback isn't throwing for 200 yards against a bad pass defense earlier, right? Maybe at the end of the regular season, what's to say that he's going to be great when it comes down to it in the championship game or the Super Bowl? That's what people are saying. And if you haven't done it in a while, who's to say that you're just going to automatically get right to it?
Here's my issue is, like, Josh Allen just threw for 127 yards.
Yeah.
Why is their pass game not an issue here? Because
the week before he passed for 3 touchdowns and stuff.
I get that, but Jalen Hurts 2 touchdowns, 128 yards, 13-21. I just don't see the issue is what I'm saying. Like,
I don't either, but here's the thing.
I don't see the issue.
People are saying here's the issue because historically, if you jam a run game, you have to have a backup plan. And if you can't throw it or it's not working or you haven't done it in a while, and he says, oh, let me force it to – let's say the running game doesn't work against the Commanders. For whatever reason, they lock in, Dan Quinn shuts down the run, and he's forced to throw it. And then all of a sudden, A.J. Brown has a problem. Hey, if we're throwing the ball, why am I – and he's not getting the ball. Let's say he's throwing to Devontae Smith and all these other guys and not Ertz, who's Goddard. He's throwing to Goddard and all these other guys.
Yeah.
And A.J. Brown comes back to the sideline and he's like, we're throwing the ball, but you're not even throwing the ball to me. Because there are games where Jalen Hurts has been throwing the ball well. They didn't even throw it to A.J. Brown. Then A.J. Brown says something to the media. Then the media's like, well, wait a minute, what's all? And then that's where you get the whole Brandon Graham talking about they're not even friends. And then, because it's been a whole charade this season. Now, the reason why it hasn't been as big of a topic is because they've been winning. Winning cures all. They just keep winning. So that's why I don't have a problem with it necessarily. Like, I don't really care. But, like, at the same time, your star receiver keeps showing up your quarterback on the sidelines. At some point, it's going to be like frustration, 2 people butting heads. And if the run game does get shut down, because Saquon, it is possible for him to get shut down. If he does get shut down, will A.J. Brown start freaking out? Will Jalen Hurts actually rise to the occasion? That's just what people are asking. Because football is also a sport of, like, relevancy. Like, things that happen things that happened a week or 2 ago, people pay attention to that stuff more than 5 weeks ago because things evolve, right? Hurts just had a concussion. Who's to say that he's right to throw? We saw Jared Goff. He looked like he had a concussion. Mm-hmm. He couldn't throw to somebody 5 yards in front of him. So who's to say that, he's still not back to himself?
I think that last question, I think the stat line proves it all, that he's okay to throw the football.
He's good enough. And they tried getting A.J. Brown into the game. He had 7 targets. He led the team. So if they get that to be a compliment to Saquon Barkley, because you're going to ride Saquon Barkley till you die. Joe Shane, by the way, if you're listening to this, how wasn't he worth more than $10 million? But anyway,
crazy.
I think that's enough said. I think the Eagles
definitely has trouble sleeping at night.
Saquon, and so does John Mara. Saquon Barkley is the center of that Eagles team, but in order to win the Super Bowl, they got to get their passing game involved, and that's why you have an all-pro wide receiver, and you have arguably the best receiving core in the league. And if they figure it out, watch out. But at the same time, 2 years ago when the Eagles played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, Mahomes passed for 340 and 3. And Hurts had 4 touchdowns in there.
And Hurts outplayed him.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He had.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It took me a second. But I think we all agree, and I think you're what you said. Enough said. Like, winning cures everything, and if they get it involved, they're gonna win on Sunday because they are better than the Washington Commanders. They're a better football team, but we'll talk about that. Enough said, though. If they're winning, they're winning. Saquon Barkley. And if A.J. Brown is going to complain or someone's going to complain and Jalen Hurts throws for 100 yards but they win, guarantee you the Rocky statue comes down in Philly and they put up a Jalen Hurts one. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I've had some crazy talks today, Todd. I hope you appreciate it. Like and follow, you know how it goes.
All right, you want to get into
Is it time? Can I here, let me do it. Let me do it.
We can do it.
All right.
You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I love my friends. I love Blake and Toussaint so much. They are 2 of the best people.
You got it.
Let me go first.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'm just gonna set the scene because this is about these 2 more because they live and die Detroit Lions and Detroit sports. These are 2 of the best people I met over the past year. My heart goes out to them. I don't know what to say, man. I don't. And I'll let them spill their emotions and then I'll go. I'm sort of just gonna sit here and.
Toussaint, you got it.
I'm sure this is gonna be up on shorts or something anyway. So,
please get ready for a rant. I've been ranting to my dad. I've been ranting to friends. I've been ranting to everybody about just how pathetic, how disgraceful, how humiliating that loss was. This is the first time, for people who don't understand, because you're not Lions fans, this is the first time in my entire life that we've had expectations. It's the first time since the JFK era that people have taken interest in our offensive and defensive coordinators. The first time
that's a crazy stat.
That's the first time that people have taken interest in our coaches, which tells you just how good they are, that all of a sudden now we're a viable team. First of all, let's talk about the defense. Aaron Glenn, what the hell were you doing? I'm so serious. You went into that game thinking Jaden Daniels was Sam Darnold. You had the exact same game plan.
I'm not having fun right now.
I mean, you blitzed nonstop until the wheels fell off. If it wasn't successful in the first quarter, what made you think it was going to be successful in the third or fourth quarter? You come out of the halftime, you adjust, you disguise, you don't blitz everybody, you disguise, you pull some people back, you have a quarterback spy for one of the best dual threats in the league. That's how you play defense. That's how you call a game, right?
You also have a good spy. Alex Anzalone could be that.
That's
guy.
what I'm saying. He was blitzing half the time. What are we doing? I'm seeing Branch come from the side, and the running back is leaking out half the time. And Jaden Daniels is poised. He understands the pressure. He understands the situation. He's gonna get the ball out quickly if he sees pressure. If you see a corner blitzing, you know to get the ball out quickly. It's simple. So Aaron Glenn, you did not do your job. You were more worried about going to New York and assembling a team than you were worried about Jaden Daniels. And then we get to the offense. Ben Johnson, he called the most mediocre game I've ever seen. There were some good things and there were some bad things. There was a 3rd and 1 where we were on our own 20 where you run the ball with the running back. Jahmyr Gibbs is the 3rd best running back behind Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley this year, and you don't run the ball on a 3rd and 1. That's his problem. Sometimes he gets too much into the trickery. Why are we going into shotgun with Goff? Why are we doing that? All right. Now, also, why are we letting Jameson Williams throw the ball when we're down by 17? Why would you do that? You pay $50 million to Goff to throw the football. Have him throw the football. I mean, you talk about everything was bad. The special teams wasn't even great. It was kind of I mean, the returns weren't even great. I mean, nobody on that team seems like they showed up to do the right thing. You want to talk about execution defensively. The execution was bad. Sometimes Glenn had plays where you were boxing Jaden Daniels. There was a play where it was a 4th and 2. You set the edges. You have players on the outside. Terry Arnold, what are you doing? Just set the edge and you hold it. You're the last man to tackle Jaden Daniels. You hold the edge. Instead, you decide to jump inside.
He was so lost.
What are you doing? You hold the edge. Any coach can tell you that. If you're a corner and you're on defense and it's like, what are we doing? It was just bad all around. coaches didn't show up, and you can't convince me that Ben Johnson wasn't more concerned about coming here to Chicago than
He's
anything
paying
else.
nails with Caleb now.
I mean, he showed up 2 days later, grinning and smiling, talking about this is where I want to be. Sir, you thought about Chicago before the season even started. I mean, I could go on for hours on how ridiculous this game was, and it hurts. And this is the last thing I'll say. This loss hurts so much more because it's the first time we've had these kind of expectations in our franchise history. It's the first time that we've had coaches who are worth a while. It's the first time that we've actually been something and we had expectations. The city thought we were going to bring home a trophy or at least compete for it. And you guys showed up. You didn't even decide to make a good game plan. I mean, it was like, I mean, I'm watching the game and I can call a better game plan than this. I mean, and then the last thing I'll say is Goff. Like I said, I thought he was concussed after that pick six. You still threw a pick six, buddy. You still fumbled it when you didn't have a concussion. And then from there on out, it was raps. You were just doing random things. You weren't doing the right things. You looked befuddled in the pocket. It was like I'd never seen Goff that rattled this year. He was best in completions this season. He had 110 yards per game every game. I mean, he was doing the right things. In this game, he just didn't play the way he was supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Well, you want to go, or you want me to get
just disappointing.
You want me to get my objective opinion before you go and stuff?
I want to go.
Yeah, you go. I'm taking a back seat for this.
And I'm sweating from all the hate.
So I just want to get it out.
Get it out. Get it all out. I'm here, and my team's worse, by the way. So.
My first thing. Jared Goff, the hell were you doing? Now, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I think you might have been concussed. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. That hit that he took on that pick six, if that was Mahomes, probably would have called the National Guard.
Yeah, that was
probably would have been walked out of the stadium in handcuffs. So I just want to get that out the way, but a 24-year-old outplayed you. So congratulations. Second, Ben Johnson. I really hope you are so glad to be in Chicago. I really do. Because it sounded like you fucking loved Chicago. It really did.
When the Lions play the Bears really on Sunday Night Football in Week 1, he's not going to be happy.
It really did. 2 days. What was it? 3 days, maybe? 4 days? 3 days? 2 days?
At least Glenn was like
4 days,
sort of
10 days, 15, 20. I don't give a damn. He's in the press conference talk. I love Chicago. My family, we love Chicago so much. Blah blah blah.
He sounds like Craig Counsell.
That's probably what he was thinking about. Against Washington. Let's be honest. Especially when you got Jameson Williams throwing a football more than 30 yards down the field. A dude who was just humping the ground after his touchdown run.
That was hilarious.
You're having a dude who just humped the ground. He probably doesn't even know what 10 times 10 is.
I could verify that.
He probably doesn't. And you got him throwing he's never thrown a pass all year. He hasn't. He's never thrown a pass. All right? So, and then Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 carries. You give him 14 carries after what he just did in the first quarter?
Criminal.
After what he did in the first quarter, you give him 14 carries?
The Commanders cannot stop him.
14?
We got Jared Goff throwing picks out there.
14 carries and Goff throwing 40 passes? Gibbs should have had 40 carries. I don't give a damn if he's woozy after the game. Give him 40 carries. That's how you won the first quarter. Aaron Glenn. I hope you enjoy New York.
You better.
I hope you are so happy to be back as a Jet. I really do. I'd said it all week. You don't blitz Jaden Daniels. You don't send more than 4. And you're sending linebackers.
Nah, he thought it was Sam Darnold out there.
You're sending nickels. You're sending safeties.
Nah, he thought it was still the Vikings game. Serious. He was doing the same things with Sam Darnold.
Nah. You're sending you were sending so many people. You damn near picked a fan out of the front row and sent him to Jaden Daniels to blitz.
Might as well.
I mean,
better result.
What was what? I just don't understand. That just showed me right there you weren't prepared. I don't give a damn what the players say. I I watched it with my 2 eyes. I don't think you were prepared. I don't. So yeah, I don't know. I'm disappointed. Can't turn the ball over like that. But if you're gonna turn the ball over like that, you can't play defense like that. So
Obviously, they lost a turnover battle 5-0.
I'm good.
That obviously was not helpful. The
Hold on.
Commanders.
One more thing.
Oh, you keep going.
Jack Campbell, I hope you are so ready to learn New York or
Nah.
or
I like that.
Arizona.
Yeah, you better not come.
Or
like Jack Campbell.
Guangdong
Jacksonville, or hell, even what's that CFL team called, the Montreal,
Send him to the XFL.
Melbourne's, whatever
He'll be on Big Ten
the
Network.
hell,
He'll be on Big Ten
whatever
Network.
that.
That's where they're gonna put him.
I
Birmingham
hope you're
Stallions.
excited,
Michigan
I do.
Panthers. Let's go.
because you were lost as shit out there, lost, couldn't make a damn tackle. So yeah, that's it, man. I don't know. I'm disappointed. I'm disgusted. And I just outright wanted to throw up after that game.
How can you show up to a playoff game and think that it's all right to just half-ass it? Someone explain that to me.
That's mine.
Well, how do
I'm
you
done.
show up to an NFL playoffs
I'm done.
to your job and you suck so bad that you're letting a rookie quarterback make you look like you're mincemeat? I mean, Aaron Glenn had no idea what he was doing.
They were so lost.
Ben Johnson, you have one of the best running backs in the league. Run the ball. Run it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the recipe is to give him 25 carries.
Bro, and they weren't even playing from behind when Goff threw that pick six too.
That's
Like,
what I'm
it was a tie game, wasn't it? And so like that changed the game. And then you have to pass the ball more because you're playing from behind and stuff. But if you guys got it all out and stuff, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, I got it all out.
One last thing I have to say
I
is
forgot
this.
about Jack Campbell. I had to say something.
One thing I have to say is this. Lions did a great job defensively all year. 7th in points per game at 20. Now some of the numbers are skewed because they had a lot of starters injured, so they gave up
injuries.
Yeah, so they gave up a lot of points.
So props to Aaron Glenn for working with that.
Facts.
Their defense was good this year.
Facts. 5th in rushing yards per game. I mean, you talk about
a damn game plan wasn't.
Interceptions is 5th. That's my point. Is like you've been fighting all year defensively.
Mm-hmm.
You've been fighting injuries all year. The entire year you've been fighting off the injury bug. And you finally get people healthy enough to have a great roster, and you show up like that? That's the first playoff game. It's one thing if you win the Washington game and then you play Philly and you don't show up. But you don't show up the first game, you have the 1 seed. I just had to let y'all know as a Lions fan, it just made the season feel worthless. It made it feel like I just watched 18 games for nothing. I watched them decimate teams and fight hard to lose in the first round of the playoffs with the 1 seed. With a bye? We wasted a 1 seed and a bye? That's generational.
It is generational.
How many times do you think we're going to get the 1 seed again? It's going to be very difficult. I mean, we have Philly. We beat Philly in the record department. We beat all these other teams in the record department. We had the best record in the NFC, and we squandered it. That's just what I feel like. Like, we've never had this much, and we just flat out squandered it. I'm done. I don't want to talk about this team anymore.
I'm gonna give my props to the Washington Commanders. They won the turnover battle 5-0. They didn't outgain the Lions, but they had 481 yards total against a good defense that was very hurt. Jaden Daniels, Rookie of the Year. Dan Quinn, probably Coach of the Year. I don't know if he's gonna win it, but he's done a great job in Washington.
I don't think he's gonna win it.
I don't think he's gonna win it actually. Now that
The team
I said
isn't
it.
that great. It's just Jaden Daniels.
Now that I said it, your boy Jaden's crazy. If you're a Lions fan, I don't even know what to say. If you're a Lions fan, honestly, props to the Commanders. They played a good game, but Detroit also lost it. And you're not going to get a lot of opportunities like that because you're not the 1 seed a lot. The one thing that could be optimistic if you believe in this stuff, there was another football team in the state of Michigan that lost in the playoff round of the first year when they were underdogs, then were favored the next year and lost. Year 3, they won the Natty.
Wolverines, baby.
Those Wolverines. Detroit clearly is going to be out for vengeance next year. And that Dan Campbell writing on the wall right there. Vengeance, 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 revenge, revenge, revenge. Come for everybody's throats, come for everybody's kneecaps, because you are going to fuck them up. And props
Full throttle.
Full throttle. Again, props to Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels, you are spectacular. You are showtime. They ran for 182 yards on the ground, too, which I don't know if the Lions did all year. And not the Lions allowed all year, excuse me. And the one more thing I'll say, I think the Lions sort of panicked once they were from behind because they were third in the NFL in total time playing from ahead this season. The other two teams being the Packers and Vikings. So NFC North, you're crazy. And the Lions went 6-0 in the NFC North, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, revenge by X. I think you guys got to listen to it. That's what I did my soccer season. I'm not an NFL player. But the Commanders are moving on to the Eagles. And that'll get us into our before we do our conference championship predictions, I'm just going to do a little game plan right now since we're talking so much ball. Next week, we get a break, so I think we talk basketball on that. Let's make this one solely football.
Yeah, we talk coach next week, too.
Let's talk about the 2 coaching hires that happened this week, too. The 2 Lions coordinators. Ben Johnson to Windy City. Aaron Glenn to New York.
His New York Jets, by the way.
My New York Jets. I hate how they're my New York Jets. So what do you guys think about the hires? Just grade them, what you think. And I could start it off since you guys went on your rants and stuff if you want.
Yeah, I kind of already talked about him just a little bit. You can start off.
Okay. Ben Johnson to Chicago. I think if it works out, it's a home run hire. I think he's a genius. I think he does all that stuff. At the same time, I think there's a lot of ways this backfires. A lot of ways. One, the Bears are in a world-class organization. Yeah. They're an organization in a world-class city. 2, if Ben Johnson installs this trickery on Caleb Williams is not going to get the ball out. He had problems holding the football this year. And he had a good rookie season. Caleb Williams might be a stud. I still think he might be better than Jaden Daniels, and I think Ben Johnson could help that. There's a lot of other areas. And him saying, I like beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. And he
how could that possibly backfire?
How could that backfire? I still think the Bears are the 4th best team in the NFC North, and I don't think it's close, and I don't think any move the Bears make this offseason will change that. And I still think Ben Johnson is the fourth best coach in that division. Kevin O'Connell's incredible. Dan Campbell's incredible. Matt LaFleur, you could say what you want about him. He had 2 13-win seasons. They've made the NFC Championship. They win playoff games. Ben Johnson, you're going into that, and I respect that because you want all the smoke. And Chicago Bears, I respect you because you want all the smoke. You guys aren't that good. And until you change that, keep talking. Keep talking. And so I'll give the Ben Johnson hire an A-. But there's a lot of ways to go. And I think Bears fans get a little ahead of themselves if they think that that's going to cure all their problems.
I think the one thing that hesitates me is the offensive-minded coach with the young quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think there's been good hires with an offensive-minded coach and a young quarterback, and there's been bad. It's gone good sometimes. It's gone bad. I think it's 50-50.
It might even be like 70-30 bad.
Might even be 70-30 bad. Not saying that it's going to go bad, but there is
you want it to.
A real possibility for it to go bad. As a Lions fan, I do want it to go bad. Part of me wants it to go bad. Part of me wants it to go good so we can kick his ass every year. That's my thought on it. I think he's gonna. I know he is a hell of a coach. I don't know from a leadership standpoint how he is.
He's more of a behind the scenes guy, right?
I think he's more of a. He is 100% a scheme guy. So leadership wise, I don't know how that's gonna go. I think Chicago hasn't had the greatest culture.
I'll tell you, they don't.
And past 20 years, I think that's going to be something that Ben Johnson is really going to have to hone in on with him being a scheme guy. He's going to have to get them to buy in. I'll give it a B+.
B+.
Just because, it's just the whole offensive-minded thing with the young quarterback. And the things, how complex Ben Johnson is with Caleb Williams being so young, can he grasp onto that immediately?
It's hard as a young quarterback to have a coaching change.
Yeah.
And that's why I never supported the Bears having Matt Eberflus. But keep going.
Ben Johnson, I know he's a great coordinator. Will he be a great head coach? Everyone knows a head coach is different than a coordinator position, and he's a great schemer. And all he has to worry about is the offense when he's a schemer. But you got to worry about everything else. Even you also can't be one of those coaches that's like, I'm going to hire a defensive coordinator and let them handle the defense. No, you got to oversee the defense. Or I'm going to hire a special teams coach and let them handle it. No, you're the head coach. You got to oversee it. You got to see what's going on. You got to because when something goes wrong in the game and your defensive coordinator isn't on the same page as you, it's going to be your fault because you're the head coach. Can he do that? I have no doubt that he knows defense. To me, being a leader of men means something when they have no culture. Why was Dan Campbell more successful than Matt Patricia? Matt Patricia knew how to coach football. Nobody respected him. No one could buy into that.
People want to jump off a bridge for Dan Campbell.
That's what I'm saying. That's why the defense was so good, because he fires you up. He gets you ready. That's why that Bears position was so interesting to me, because people are saying, "Oh, I want Ben Johnson." Well, he's a schemer. Your culture doesn't change. Your GM and your owners don't change. They're still meddling. They're still bad, right? So can he be a leader? That part I'm gonna have to pull back on. I'm gonna give him a B+ as well, just because I can't say that he's gonna be a great overall head coach. I think he'll get Caleb right. I don't know how good Caleb will be. He'll be better than last year for sure. But offense isn't the only part of the game. Can you get this team to run through a brick wall? As we saw, Eberflus couldn't get them to run through a sheet of paper. So, so let's see if he can do that. If he can do that, he'll be successful.
Quick. And then one more quick thing before we move to Glenn is, and I don't even want to discuss it. It's just, is Ben Johnson going to be calling the plays?
Oh yeah, because I think they're gonna try and take Fraley from us as OC.
And that's what I don't like as a head coach.
Well, LaFleur does that, and he's not terrible.
I think it's fine if it's working, but the second it's not working, they have to be able to put it on someone else and realize that they have to manage a football team. That was my biggest thing with Jeff Ulbrich and the Jets, which I'll get to. Yeah. He was calling defensive plays the entire year, and once he became head coach, they were the worst defense in the league statistically. So
that's why
I just haven't loved it
so
in the
much.
past.
But see, that's why I don't like him so much, because it's like, if he can't call the plays, what good is he? Is he going to be a culture changer where he's like, hey, we're going to do, because he's not a strategic guy where he's like, we'll do this at this time or this at that. He's a guy who calls the plays. He's a schemer. Now, LaFleur is a schemer, right? Shanahan's a schemer, and it works for them. But when you don't have an identity, because they had an identity. San Francisco has John Lynch, and they have great ownership, Jed York. Yep. They have in Green Bay, they don't have an owner, but they have a culture, and they know what it is. Goose is he's a good GM.
Oh my God, great
Chicago
GM.
Bears, you don't know about polls. You know the ownership isn't great. Can he get these guys who have been through a year of Eberflus and his junk to push through and take off?
Yeah.
Yeah, one more thing I'll add, and then I'll let you guys talk about Glenn, because my Jets rant has got to be last. The Chicago media, as we know, in all these big cities, they are going to attack you if you start losing. Yeah. So they better not be on the back foot. And Ben Johnson, I think, will be calling plays, but you got to devote time to both. And the Bears are a really young team. Going back to Justin Fields, they've had things happen. Mm-hmm. There's always been complaints and stuff. And you got to give it time. Working on a coaching change, yeah, it is what it is. The Bears have a lot of money, and they have one of the best quarterback prospects. So it's a good way to build, but I also think that the division, doesn't really help you. I think there was a better job out there for Ben Johnson. But yeah, let's move to Aaron Glenn, who's going to the New York Jets.
Shout out Hector.
Yeah, shout out Hector. I'm going to go last on this Aaron Glenn one and what I think about it, because I think you guys could go first. You guys already gave me your Aaron Glenn thoughts, but
gotta get Hector on here.
Go for it.
I just ripped Glenn about 10 minutes ago. I think it's a great hire. I think he's proven himself amongst the league. When you get guys who are really high on you and have nothing but good to say about you, that is something that's a point in the right direction. It's a very positive thing. It kind of shows who you are as a person, who you are as a character, and how well respected you are. And I think that is exactly what you need in a head coach. We point at Dan Campbell as a guy who people want to run through a wall for. I think Aaron Glenn is that same guy. He has a hell of a story about how played in the league. Once he retired, he was gone. Became an entrepreneur, and then I'd actually just seen a clip about this the other day. He was one day just watching TV, screaming at the TV, telling exactly what to do, and his wife was like, "Why don't you go back and coach?" So, and he promised himself that he didn't want to start in a higher position. He started out as a scout. And went from
with the Jets
and elevated every single way that you can. He elevated in every single way that you can. And so I think that points to how he is as a guy, how he is, his character. And he's a hell of a defensive mind. He said it himself, and I think I trust him. He knows a lot of people, are like, that's the defensive guy, blah, blah, blah. He said he knows the offense just as well as he does defense. And so I'm excited for the Jets, especially all of the star power that the Jets have on defense. It's unfortunate that things haven't worked out in the past 2 years, that the Jets were supposed to be in the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers leading them. But I think Glenn is a point in the right direction.
What do you give the hire?
I'll give that one. I'll give him an A-.
Okay.
I'll give that one an A-.
I love Glenn. Great defensive coordinator. Like you said, I think he's one of those coaches that's like you want to run through a brick wall for. I think it also very much helps the former player. You look at all these former players around the league, or at least players that were around. So you talk about Campbell, and you talk about D'Amico Ryans and all these former players. Like even you can throw Shanahan in there because his dad was a coach and he was in the locker room. He got everything from his dad. I think Glenn. I think the hire is probably, to me, the issue I have is they hired a defensive coordinator who makes you want to run through a brick wall. Saleh was like that, and it didn't work. Why? Because of the culture. Now, do I think that Glenn is going to succeed ultimately? In my opinion, no. But that's because of the Jets situation. I mean,
Woody Johnson's a tough.
I mean, it takes a special type of coach to crack that culture problem. He's like on Jerry Jones level where you have to tell him like stop, like we got to cut it out. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he has that pull to say that to the Jets, to say that to him. I think it's actually a great hire in retrospect. Like I'd give it a B+ as well, but I also think it's not going to work. But that's not his fault. I think he's being set up necessarily. He can't turn it down. I mean, technically, if I was him, I would have taken the Saints job. If I was him, just because of ownership. But
yeah,
for me, I would have taken the Saints because of ownership. Because now you have no quarterback and your ownership sucks. If you go to the Saints, at least you technically have a quarterback on roster, and the ownership is better. But I'll give it a B+. Yeah, I'll give it a B+.
Just because the camera is running out of charge, I'll make this quick. If you want a longer Aaron Glenn rat, I will direct you to Mazarski Memos, New York State of Mind. The New York.
Go check my boy out, man.
Yeah. You guys bring up great points. The Jets defense has some of the best pieces in the league. Sauce Gardner, Quincy Williams, Quinnen Williams, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, on and on and on. The biggest problem with the New York Jets is their culture. Sorry, everyone, we experienced technical difficulties. We will have a video predictions on YouTube and TikTok after, but very fast. My Aaron Glenn thoughts, again, find it on Mazarski Memos too. We'll have it full video and stuff on Talk Ball Tweakers as well.
Damn technology.
Hector. The one day Hector works from home. Sorry.
I swear.
The New York Jets have a culture problem. That's why they have the longest playoff drought in sports. That's why they haven't made the Super Bowl since 1969. That's why stuff comes out. That's why those athletic articles come out. That's why there's so much BS coming out of the Jets organization. Not even one of the best quarterbacks of all time could come in there and save them. And that's Aaron Rodgers, a whole different story. If you want to argue Aaron Rodgers with me, we could do that another time. The Jets need a leader of men, and they thought that was Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh, there were a lot of problems, like the fact that the Jets were playing for behind in most of their games. Under Robert Saleh, the Jets were behind at one point in like 38 out of 39 games or something. It's crazy. The Jets need someone who they'll run through a wall for, and they need a leader of men, and they need someone who will come in and break that culture. And the Jets' talent is not their issue. They have the 2022 offensive and defensive rookie of the year in Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. They have Breece Hall. I don't know what their quarterback's going to be. If their quarterback's not Aaron Rodgers, they're not going to be as good next year, and I'm honestly fine with that. The Jets need a culture, or else they are going to be the laughingstock of the league because they are right now. And so, I'm not even going to grade it as a Jets fan. I thought there was only one home run higher, and it was Mike Vrabel. I'm not even going to grade it. And I know we just went through all those technical difficulties and stuff. I'm not going to grade it. I'm just going to say I'm usually very optimistic at the start of Jets terms. Even when Adam Gase came in.
Oh, boy.
This team has taken all the optimism out of me. And until proven otherwise, I am going to say, let's go Mets.
This dude.
Okay, so we got no answer.
No answer. No grade.
Answer.
Yeah.
Quick. You want to do the quick playoff takes? All right, let's go. Yeah. Chiefs versus Bills. What are we thinking?
Rapid fire.
Patrick Mahomes is going to Patrick Mahomes. I think Josh Allen makes a mistake or two. It's very hard to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. They haven't lost in Arrowhead this year. Bills already beat them 2. Good luck beating the Chiefs once. Good luck beating them twice, a.k.a. Buffalo. Kansas City will go 27-24.
Chiefs 24-17. Chiefs.
Josh Allen's going to have to be perfect. I don't think he's going to be perfect in all spots. I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs 28-20. All right. We're going to go Eagles Commanders. What are we thinking? Go ahead, Jake.
I really like Jaden Daniels. He deserves all the praise in the world. He's going to win a lot of playoff games. He's going to make maybe a lot of Super Bowls. I think this is too big of a task. The Commanders' defense hasn't been great this year, and I think the Lions dug a hole for themselves. I don't think the Eagles are going to do that. They've been here before. They've had an NFC championship at home. And even if they don't get the passing game involved, Saquon's Barkley. And so I'm going to go Eagles 35, Washington 31. I think Washington will score their points because the Eagles have a young secondary that Matt Stafford was sort of able to exploit. So Eagles 35, Commanders 31. I love you, Feltz.
Philly 30, Washington 24.
Jaden Daniels' run ends. Give me Philly 30-27. Walk-off field goal.
And if you're a Bills or Commanders fan, you're welcome.
Down to the wire, field goal.
You're welcome if you're a Bills and Commanders fan. And we'll find a way to get this up on YouTube. We might do another video too, but you're welcome because we just unanimously did it. But
always like, subscribe, comment.
Yeah, wrap it up.
Run up the TikTok.
Talkball Tweakers.
Talkball.tweakers on TikTok. Run up our shorts. Just stay on here and go to the shorts tab on our channel. Run those up. And yeah. I should start a Twitter soon. Should start Instagram soon. Dude just tried to put a heart to the camera. I wish
camera's dead.
We could have low key filmed that without the camera actually working. So that was funny as hell. But yeah,
it's been that type of week.
Like, subscribe, comment. Swerving been that corner. Tweak out, talk ball, and we will see y'all next week. Stay fly.